Hello everyone, my name is Dante Massimino, and in this video I'm going to talk about the UCS, or User Coordinate System, as well as some features of the Viewcube up here seen in the top right. So, the UCS, or User Coordinate System, refers to the coordinate system that is used in the drawing. So coordinate system is this thing down here, and you can see it has the x-axis and the y-axis, and the xy plane and the z-axis and all that good stuff. Which is pretty self-explanatory. But the user part of UCS means that you can define your own coordinate system anywhere you like in the drawing using object snaps or just entering coordinates. So, first and foremost, to mess with the UCS, you would want to use the UCS command, which you can do by typing UCS here in the command bar. Now down here, you see we have a bunch of options that we can use for our UCS. First and foremost, we have, which I'll be using a lot, we have the previous command, which is done by typing P, which restores the previously used UCS. And to start, to start UCS, we will just define our own UCS very simply by specifying the origin. So say we want to use the top left of this box here. We set the origin point right there, and now we specify a point on the x-axis down here. And finally, we would want to specify a point in the xy plane. We can use the same point actually. And accept. Now you see, we've created our own UCS. Now the plane is here instead of where it originally was. So to go back with the UCSP, and it puts our plane back where it used to be, our coordinate system back where it originally was. Next, we can create a coordinate system in reference to the face of an object. So UCS, F, and so now I'll select this face here, and I'll type next. So now you see that's what our coordinate system is going to be, right there. Now, if we don't decide we don't want that, we can do X flip or Y flip, one of these two commands here. So X flip will rotate around the X axis, and Y flip will rotate around the Y axis. As you can see, and when you're ready to accept, you'll just type accept. Simple. Now, if we decide that we want to keep this coordinate system, but also we'd like to be able to use the other coordinate system, we can use the command named. So NA for named, we can save this coordinate system as whatever we'd like. So, I don't know, new. Now that we have it, it's called new, so we'll go to UCS and bring it back to our previous coordinates. UCS, go back to our previous. There we go. Now, if we'd like to load up new, we do UCS, named, restore, and then type new. And there we are, we're back at new. Now, if we decide that we no longer have any use for new, we do UCS, named, delete, and then new. Now, if we find that if we try to restore new as such, then we can't do it because it no longer exists. Up next, we have object as found by typing OB, which can be used to set a user coordinate system restrained to a geographic object or geometric object. As you see here, now the coordinate system is restrained based on this cube that we've got here. The x-axis, the y-axis, and the z-axis all line up with an edge or a corner of this object. Next, we have the command view. So UCS, V for view, and that'll set the coordinate system to be perpendicular to the angle that you're currently viewing the world on. So you see how it now kind of slices through the cube there as such, because it now is following what our view was. So back to P. Next up, there is world, which is W, which aligns the UCS to whatever the world coordinate system is. So whatever the default coordinate system is, world W would make it do that. Next up are the X, Y, and Z commands seen down here. Now what they do is they allow you to rotate your current UCS around the X, Y, and Z axes. Then this follows the right-hand rule. For any of you that know physics, this will follow the right-hand rule. So you see how it is now. So if I do X, and then if I tell it to rotate 90 degrees, so this is the original way here, with the y-axis pointing directly upward, or directly north. So if I type 90 for this part, according to the right-hand rule, that would mean that y would point directly upward. And as you can see, it does. The other two commands, Y and Z, also follow this this rule. Next up, finally, for this part, is Z-axis. So ZA for Z-axis. With this one, you specify a 0, 0 point. You specify the new origin. So we'll just make it this corner here. And then you specify which way the Z-axis points. So for this one, let's say we want the Z-axis to point that way. So we can do that. And boom, there's a new UCS using the Z-axis. You know, we'll leave it there. Finally, we'd like to take a look at the Viewcube. This is the Viewcube here. You can use it to go around your object all these different ways. You can click on the arrows on the sides to go to that different side. So from the left, you'd click on this to go to the bottom. And then you click on this to go back to the front. And then you click this to go to the top, so on and so forth. You can also view the object from a corner angle and from just on an edge. Additionally, to navigate the Viewcube, it can be easy, especially if you've just, especially if you've just changed the UCS. You can hold down Shift and press the middle mouse button to manually rotate the Viewcube. And finally, in a view, if you want to rotate, you can click on these arrows up around here. As you can see, this arrow, the way the arrows work is, when you click them, it actually is like it's pushing the object instead of rotating in that direction. So if you push this, it kind of counterintuitively rotates it in the opposite direction to the way the arrow is pointing. Now, as long as we're discussing views, this also seems like an appropriate place to discuss this part of view up here. You can change the style that you're viewing your object in. So right now we are viewing it in realistic mode. As you can see, that means we're seeing it. We can see its contours, some basic shading, and the parts behind it you can't see, as if it was a real object that you're holding in your hand. This might not always be the best way to view the object. For instance, if you need to see all the contours of the object at once, you can switch to realistic mode, which just shows it, not realistic, you can switch to 2D wireframe mode, which simply shows the object as a 2D wireframe. You can see all the way through it, and yeah. Now this can also be useful for seeing things, but it's tough to tell where things are in relation to each other sometimes, especially if you're viewing it at an angle like this, or up here like this. So a different mode, such as X-ray, for instance, can be used. And as you can see now, it shows you the wireframe with some shading over top of lines that are in the back. So you can tell exactly the dimensions, the depth, and all that of this object just by looking at it. There are other ones, such as wireframe, which, as far as I can tell, is mostly identical to 2D wireframe. There's this one, which is much like realistic, but it has the lines on it to really highlight where the edges are. There's also sketchy. Yeah, I don't know what this would ever be useful for. It's a lot like the hidden option, which shows it like a wireframe, where you see the edges, but you can't see behind. And finally, there is Shades of Gray, which is much like the other one that's shaded with the lines that you can see the edges, but also it's shaded in. Alrighty, thank you very much for watching. That was, again, Dante Massimino. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you found it helpful.